I have 2 picks, both Book Talk books, both very popular, both DNFs from me.
Oh. Hi everybody, welcome to BYOB, the Bring Your Own Book podcast. My name is Nikki.
And I'm Kelly.
And this week we are wrapping up our season, our 3rd season.
Yeah!
Which we have ambitiously taken the whole year to do because we were so excited about it. And I'm sure we could both hibernate for a while. But we are talking today about our top books of 2023. And we're also going to talk about our least favorite books of 2023 because if you know us, you know we can't keep it all positive all the time.
No. Your girl likes to rant and complain.
Yeah. So we're going to hop right in. We're going to do our top 5. We will do an honorable mention, and then we will talk a little smack.
Yeah.
About some books
Just a little
well.
Bit. Yeah.
But yeah, Kelly, why don't you get us started? I don't know, do you have an order? Mine aren't really in order.
I did put in order because I thought about it. I was like, okay, I guess so. But the number 1 is for sure the number 1.
Right.
So
that's kind of how I feel about mine too.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So I guess I'll start with my honorable mention. I feel like I have some good picks here. I don't know. But my honorable mention is The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is a hockey romance. It's contemporary new adult. And I gave it a 5 out of 5 when I read it because I connected to the main character so much. I actually cried while I read this book. And I don't cry a lot when I read books. And I especially don't cry during hockey romances normally. But I just thought the way they handled certain subject matter was really, really well done. Super touching at times. The steam was great. And I loved it. So it didn't quite make my top 5, even though I gave it a 5-star. But I loved it. And awesome. I have read a few other of her books since then. So yeah.
Yeah, I liked the Elle Kennedy book that I read. It was really, really nice. It was sweet, but it was spicy.
Yes.
And it didn't linger too long. She kept it moving very well.
As you should. Yes.
Yeah. I'll do my honorable mention then. Mine is Walkers by Graham Masterton. And so we talked about this on the podcast before because this is the redacted read that Kelly gave me. So I read the whole book, not knowing who wrote it, not knowing what the premise was. But for a little background, it's basically the perfect haunted house story. A man named Jack finds an old mansion and he wants it. He gets so obsessed he keeps going back each night. And some weird things are happening there. He feels like people are following him. He can hear footsteps walking down the hallway behind him. He brings his son one night, and his son ends up getting taken and lost within the walls of the house. And he has to make a bargain to get him back. And oh my gosh, it was such a good time. I loved that I was scared from literally the first paragraph.
Oh my God.
I picked it up and it was about 2:00 in the morning and I just knew instantly. I hadn't even opened the book. I knew this book is going to be scary. And it was. And it had really great descriptive writing of the sounds that were happening and the overall aura and essence of the house. So you really felt like you were in there.
Oh.
Which is a good and a bad thing.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, that's my honorable mention.
Oh my God. Well, I'm so happy you liked it.
I did.
Okay. Now, I feel like I need to... Well, no, I don't actually. I think I did this right. I feel like all of my top 5s were either 4.5 out of 5 or a 5-star.
Okay.
So, Great. My number 5 pick I read recently, and it was A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. I loved this so much, and it was on my list for a while. Kind of forgot about it, picked it up. Also forgot what it was about, kind of.
Right.
And when I went into it, I had a different picture in my head, and I didn't quite get what I thought I was going to get, but I loved it, so I did not care. It was super atmospheric. The lore in this book was so interesting. And Ava Reed, did some really cool, like, dark fairy stuff, kind of like Holly Black, like traditional fairy lore where they're scary and not like sexy winged men, which, like, we love, but also I like the creepy vibes too.
Yeah.
And there was this really, really cool thing about this book where it was about how, it was about her and this boy, as they all are usually, but they both were working at this famous author's estate. He was researching his life. She was working to redesign his home, his manor. And the author has died. He's like Shakespeare level famous. Everyone studies his works. And they're trying to piece together who this man was. Was it really him who wrote the book? There's stuff with the fairy king. It's dangerous. It's romantic in every sense. Like, the romance between the two is great, but also romantic in terms of, like, the time period, right? Like, the art style. And I loved it so much. I want to read this epic poem they go on about. I want to read it all. I loved it.
Oh, that
I think you would love it too.
Nice. Yeah, you told me, and I think I put it on my want to read on Goodreads. Because it does sound so good.
It was really good.
And it would be really nice to read a real fae story. I feel like I was watching a video about this earlier today, actually, just how fae or fairies has just turned into code for, like, hot men.
Yeah.
And which is great sometimes. It's a lot of fun.
Sure.
But it would be nice to get more real, kind of like the trickster and the evilness of what fae are supposed to be.
Yeah. And this book, there's like northerners and southerners, and the northerners don't believe in fae and the southerners do, and they take it extremely seriously.
Right.
So it is so good. It's dangerous at every turn.
I love that. Okay. My first book that I'm going to talk about is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune.
Oh.
So I read The House on the Cerulean Sea a few years ago. I really liked it. I read Under the Whispering Door and didn't even finish it.
Oh.
But this book was beautiful. So it's an Adventures of Pinocchio retelling, which I actually didn't know until I looked it up last night to kind of do a little synopsis thing for this. But yeah, so it's a Pinocchio retelling. So we follow a young man named Vic, and he's raised by his father, Giovanni, who is actually an android.
Okay,
So Giovanni's a robot, Vic is a human. They live secluded from the rest of the world with two other robots, one named Nurse Ratched, and the other one is a vacuum cleaner named Rambo.
Oh my god.
So cute. Vic in the junkyard finds a robot labeled HAP, and he takes him back home and he fixes him up and he starts to work. This causes a series of events, leading his father, Geo, to be taken back to the city of Electric Dreams, where he used to create and program basically police droids.
Oh, okay.
So in this world, humans have become basically extinct from sentient robots hunting them down. So Vic, Hap, Nurse Ratched, and Rambo go on a mission to find him and bring him back home. So this book, the feelings of these robots just had me so shook. They're at the beginning, we see very briefly that Geo has left the city and he's all alone. And he talks about how he starts to feel loneliness.
Okay.
And so he is becoming more sentient with time and becoming more human-like. And oh my goodness, just the way this robot felt, I was so upset.
Oh no.
But also there were really funny things. Like, so HAP is an acronym for Hysterically Angry Puppet.
Relatable.
Right? And Nurse Ratched is actually a nurse automaton.
Okay.
And she has all of these different things that she's programmed to do. And Ratched is an acronym for, I have to read it because it's long and I don't remember it. Registered automaton to care, heal, educate, and drill.
Oh my god.
And it is just like All around such a good time. The end is super heartwarming and sad, but very real, and has super real connections to human life.
Okay.
Even though they're robots, but I can't even recommend this freaking book enough. It was so good. So good.
I have 3 of his books. I haven't read any yet because I'm like
Really?
scared, but not. Well, I was gonna read The House by the Cerulean Sea or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it was when I bought it when my grandma died, and my sister was like, well, maybe just wait a little bit. She's like, you might be a little tender still.
Right.
But she's like, but I think you'll like it. Just like maybe not right now. And I was like, okay.
It was very cute.
I'm
Very
excited. I've heard good things about him, and now even again another book.
Yep.
Which I have not read.
The audiobook was really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay. Put on my tab. Jeez. Okay, my next pick, I feel like won't be a surprise when I say it, but number 4 is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This blew up over Book Talk, I guess, and I'm usually a little hesitant with Book Talk because you never know, but I have several books by Rebecca Ross, and this was the first one I tried of hers, and I was not disappointed. So beautifully done in every way, in my opinion. It was very lyrical. It is a urban fantasy set in the UK, but kind of like an alternate UK because there's magic here in this world, and it's set during war times. It feels very much like a World War I kind of historical fiction, but instead of, the normal human enemies that we learn about in school during like World War I, World War II, they're gods that are fighting. So that's kind of where the magical aspect comes into play. And this book follows 2 rival journalists who start communicating via magical typewriters, and they don't know that they are talking to each other. So it's one of my favorite tropes. It's like secret pen pals. I love You've Got Mail, which is like the same thing. But they are like secret pen pals with this magical typewriter. And then they also work together at a newspaper, and they hate each other. And it was done so well. And the ending ripped my heart out in the best way. And it is the first book in a duology.
Okay.
And it finishes up Boxing Day. It comes out. So it is a love story between Iris and Rowan. Nope. Iris. Is that her name? Why don't I ever write down people's names? Iris and Roman, okay? Those are their names. And I just loved it. I think she's going to become a new favorite author. Like, it was just so well done. And I just always felt like this excited but also like anxious energy in my heart when I was reading it. So I highly recommend. Aww. I think you would love it.
I love that. Okay, my 4th book. I'm not going to talk too much about it because we literally just did an episode on it. Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I almost called her Rachel for a second, and I was like, that doesn't feel right.
Oh, no.
So I'm not going to say a lot about it. It's the follow-up to Fourth Wing. Violet and Satan navigate long distance with their dragons. We get to see the true power of the revolution, and we also get to meet griffins and their riders, which I want a griffin.
Right?
They just sound so, and they're soft.
Yeah, they're fluffy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like that. Things I loved. All of the redemption this book brought with so many characters. I usually don't like things like that, but I was very touched by some of the things that happened in this book. Xaden and Violet weren't together for half of it. Loved that. I have feelings about them, which you'll hear in the other episode. The building of new relationships, and also Sawyer and Jessenia, because yes, they should be the main couple. But yeah, I just really liked that book. It was, and I don't know if it's because I've just read it so recently, but I had such a good time.
Yeah.
And I had a good time the whole time, which, is hard to do with a book that long.
I was going to say, yeah, it was like over 600 pages.
Yeah.
So that is hard.
Yeah.
Well, that's so funny. Great segue, because my next pick is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So many Rebeccas here. And I picked Fourth Wing because I gave it a 5 and I gave Iron Flame a 4.5.
Right.
But like, I loved them both, and I won't go into too much detail either because we have an episode about it, but it was like, I couldn't put it down. Just like, wow. I don't want to say floored, but I was just so in it. Like, I had such a good time.
Right.
And this is giving me like a Harry Potter feel in the sense of like when we were growing up, everyone was all about Harry Potter. It was so exciting to see like the next book coming out, like, and this community of readers who are all loving it. So yeah, I'm just so happy to be a part of this experience. Like, it's fun. So Fourth Wing, had a blast.
I love that. Yeah, it was I mean, it was a great opportunity, like, just to get to talk to her and everything like that. I mean, that's like not even just like a top book of the year. That's just like a top experience.
Yeah, we had 2 huge top experiences this season. Rebecca Yarros and Jennifer L. Armentrout.
Yeah.
Pinch me. Oh my God.
I know. I know. I still can't believe that.
I know. Oh.
Now, the book I'm going to talk about next is by Lisa Jewell, who is another author that I would love to have on the podcast. Mm-hmm. We did her book earlier this year, The Family Upstairs.
Was that this year?
Yeah, I think.
Oh my God. Wow.
Right? I know.
What is time?
Okay. The season's been long.
Yeah, true.
But I'm not talking about The Family Upstairs. I'm talking about Then She Was Gone. Oh my God. I feel like I can't even put into words this book. So this book has 2 timelines. We have Ellie, who's 15 years old. She's a really bright girl, and she has a lot going for her. She's very, very smart. She's about to take her exams, but she disappears. And so in the present timeline, we follow her mother, Laurel, who's still trying to cope years after Ellie's been gone. And we see her meet a new friend, Floyd, and his daughter, Poppy, who is 7. And when she sees Poppy, it sends her back to the past.
Okay.
Like she's looking at Ellie. And the mystery unfolds.
Oh my God.
And I listened to the audiobook of this, and the narrator, Helen Duff, was absolutely amazing. All of the accents, the age range, the fact that she didn't do a stupid voice for the men.
Oh, yeah.
That can really, really ruin an audiobook for me. And she was great. Lisa Jewell also has this ability to tell you things the characters don't know. Mm-hmm. And you can know everything, and it doesn't inhibit your reading experience at all. You are still in it. And the reactions of the characters are what really matters in this story. And she just does it flawlessly.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
I have that book and the audiobook.
Yes.
Like, literally, I just read her new book, None of This Is True, and I was gonna put it in my top 5, but then I was like, well, I don't know. I just had to pick, but it was so good. Like, she is a master. She's so good.
Yeah.
Please come talk to us. We would love it.
I read a few of her books this year, but this one was by far just the best. The best experience.
Frig. Okay. My next pick, number 2, we did an episode on, and it is Circe by Madeline Miller.
Oh.
I had to put it in my top 5 because I don't usually cry, and this had me sobbing at the end, so it had to be in my top 5. But this is a literary fiction. Greek retelling. We just talked about how we don't like literary fiction on our last episode, or we'll read like 1, maybe 2 a year tops. This was my 1, maybe my 2nd, I guess, because Babel was kind of literary fiction-ish. Which didn't make my top 5, surprisingly, but I loved it. But Circe follows Circe, who is a daughter of the sun god Helios, and it goes through, like, I'm gonna say decades, no, like, eons, like, centuries and centuries of time. We meet so many different Greek gods and Greek heroes, and it's just a really touching feminist tale, honestly. Like, it was beautiful and completely captivated me from beginning to end. Like, I found that some books I don't want to put down. This book I did want to put down because I wanted to just like let it sink in and then pick it up again later to like read the next chunk and just let it wash over me. Loved it. Madeline Miller is just amazing.
She's a wizard.
She is.
Like the wordsmith of all wordsmiths.
Honestly, and going in, I'm always like, am I going to like this? I don't read a lot of literary fiction. It's very lyrical, but she's so accessible and lyrical at the same time.
I know.
Same with Rebecca Ross, honestly, at least from that one book I read. Like, I love it.
Yeah, the first time we read a Madeline Miller, I was really scared. Mm-hmm. I was feeling like this is not going to be good. I'm going to not really understand what's going on, and I'm not going to be able to get into it. And The Song of Achilles, by the 5th page, I was in the rhythm. Mm-hmm. And the same with Circe. Yeah. I really felt like it only took me a few pages to be like, okay, this is the kind of book I'm reading now, and now I'm on this journey.
Yes. She takes you on a journey.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
Okay. Ooh. My second to top pick, my penultimate pick, if you will, is The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. So I listened to this in an audiobook towards the beginning of the year. I didn't really know what to expect because the synopsis does not do a super good job of explaining really like what this book is about. But so we have our main character, Anne. She goes to New York to do an internship at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, but she ends up getting put in the Cloisters, which is part of the Met, but is not in the same building. Mm-hmm. It is a museum and garden that houses a lot of medieval and Renaissance art pieces. So she ends up finding I believe, 15th century tarot deck, and she just gets so wrapped up in this research and her colleagues. And there is this kind of, I don't know what it is. I felt it with the Goldfinch too. This feeling that I get from books about New York with like academia and rich people, this like gross kind of like skeezy, slimy feeling that these characters are giving off. And I really, really enjoyed the tone of the story. It ended up going in a totally different direction than I thought it was going to go in.
Oh,
and
really?
I'm not going to say too much because Kelly is currently reading it.
Yeah.
And so I just want to leave it at that. But it was beautiful. The like setting is just amazing.
A dream.
Yeah.
Sort of, depending on what happens, because I haven't read it yet.
At least the building. The building is a dream. There's, I don't know. It was just really great. It was a lot of fun.
I'm excited. Like, the cover is just like, I feel like I already know the vibes just from the cover. Like,
I originally picked the book out for Tilly for a birthday gift, and I saw the cover from across chapters, and I just felt like that's the book I'm getting her. And I read the back, and it confirmed, yes, this is it. And then I had to read it myself because I couldn't stop thinking about it, but I didn't want to take the book from her. So I did the audiobook.
How kind of you.
Right?
Should I do my honorable mention now?
You already did your honorable mention.
Oh yeah, never mind.
We're gonna do our least favorites.
That's what I meant. Okay.
Because we want to end on a high note.
Yes, definitely. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm excited for this.
So should I start? Because I have two.
Yeah, you start.
Okay, so I have two picks. Both Book Talk books. Both very popular. Both DNFs from me.
Oh.
The first one is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Now, I feel bad including it because I did read 55% of the book, and it wasn't terrible. However, I put it here because the synopsis on the back of the book, that plot does not happen until 55% into the book.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm reading this, and I was reading it with a coworker as like a little book club pick, and between me and her, that's our little mini book club. And I was like, okay, it is steamy. it's sex positive. Okay, great. That's why all the teenagers are buying it, because it's like very steamy, at least what I read. But like, there's no plot. It felt very like day-to-day fanfic, which, okay, but it's like 400 something pages, I want to say. And it's a rom-com, and the plot doesn't happen until past halfway.
Right.
So I was like, why am I even bothering with this? Like, there's no conflict.
Right.
I don't know.
I feel like the reason fanfics work to do that like day-to-day thing is they're writing about characters you already care about.
True. Yeah.
Like, I read Manacled.
Mm-hmm.
I've read a lot of fanfics. They do a lot of nothing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because
No.
I'm already in love with them. And I just want to know what they think they're doing.
Yeah.
But when you're being introduced to characters, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of dead downtime.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't understand why there's no conflict here and why am I still here? So I just DNF'd it. I was like, no. And my friend who read it, she was like, yeah, I gave it a 3. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to bother continuing because I'm already, like, I don't want to pick it up and it's a romance. That's weird for me.
Yeah.
For me. So no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too bad. And that was a huge book.
Huge. We couldn't keep it in the store, you know?
Yeah.
Did I buy the next book? Yeah, I did. Like an idiot. But it's shorter. I like the cover. If I don't like it, I'm not buying anymore.
Characters that were talked about in the other book.
Yeah.
Why is that a trend now?
I don't know. Can we do like the Shopaholic thing again by Sophie Kinsella and like have the same couple in every book? Because I kind of liked that. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like people don't know how to write about couples that are together anymore.
I don't know.
You can make a conflict with a couple and not make one of them look like the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
It happens all the time in real life. You always have conflict in partnership. And
yeah. And it doesn't always end with a breakup.
Yeah.
And then a rekindling of the romance. Like,
yeah.
You can still have conflict. Do you want to do yours and I'll do my other one?
Sure. So this is not the book I rated the lowest, but looking through my books this year, this is the book I was the most disappointed by.
Oh boy.
And that is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black.
Dun dun dun! Which we did an episode on!
Yes.
Oh no!
So this book is a follow-up duology, the first in the duology to the Cruel Prince series. It tells the story of Surin, who is a fae princess who's shunned from her world, basically, and with the help of Prince Oak, which is Jude's younger brother, she works to take back her kingdom from the evil Lady Nor. I just didn't care. I don't know what it is with me and Holly Black, but we don't mesh.
Oh no.
The political stuff, I don't care.
Yeah. It's confusing.
They set it up because The Cruel Prince was essentially a romance. There was a lot of romantic aspect overtone to the books. So this one kind of sets it up to feel like this is also going to be a romance. I don't know how they're going to do that in 2 books because right now Surin and Oak definitely have the brother-sister vibe.
Yeah.
And like not even getting into the fact that there's like this whole betrayal at the end of the book that they have to work through and then like get together at the end of the next book for it to all work out.
Yeah.
But the fact that like there is zero chemistry there at all. Like it would be like they kiss and then he says, wow, I just kissed my sister. And she's like, yeah, that's gross. And then that would be the end.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Am I going to read the second one? Probably. Because I don't know. But I'll get it from the library or something.
Or borrow it from me.
Yeah. I just like, I'm done paying for Holly Black stuff until, like, I'll keep trying because everybody seems to love her. She has a huge fan base, but it was really not for me.
Yeah, I get that. I really hope they don't make it a romance because I also don't buy it. I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, my other bad pick.
I can't wait to hear.
I feel bad, but I also don't because whatever. She's making money, I'm not. So, okay, this one was actually gifted to us, or given to us, I should say, as an ARC. And if it's a small author, I won't say bad things because they don't really have a booming career. I don't want to like punch down, punch up. So I'm going to say my other worst pick of the year was Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Both of these books are by Hannah's that I didn't like.
Oh.
What does that say? I don't know. But this one I DNF'd at 4%. I read literally the first chapter and I was like, nope, I don't care to continue. So it was marketed as an enemies to lovers romance, fairy tale vibes. She is working as, you guessed it, an assistant to the villain. What I didn't guess was that the villain would be named the Villain. Like, you can't see my face right now, but I'm pretty annoyed. So he doesn't have a name. I think I saw on Instagram that she called him Blade, like a blade, like a sword. And I'm like, okay.
Like the vampire?
Yeah. Is he a vampire or a vampire hunter?
Oh, no, I've never seen them.
Me neither. Scott loves it, but I'm like, I don't know. But like, okay, what I read was very immature. It felt like it was YA, but it was not a YA book. I don't even think it was marketed as new adult, so I couldn't really grapple with the writing style. I was like, what is this? And the first chapter, she finds the villain. She gets the job. It was like boom, boom, boom. Right. Everything is happening. What? And she also was like immediately into him.
Right.
So it's like everything happened in the 4% that I read. And I was like, I don't like this. Then I went to Goodreads and I did my research. And a lot of people felt like me. I'm sure a lot of people don't feel like me, but a lot of people also felt what I was feeling. And they were like, there was no spice at all. It was a squeaky clean romance. And that's fine, but it wasn't marketed that way.
Right.
So I DNF'd it. I'm glad I did. I hope other people enjoy it, but it was not for me.
Yeah. I didn't even bother reading it after you gave me that because I'm not the hugest romance reader and there needs to be something else. Yeah. And if there's also going to be no spice, I'm just not here for it.
Well, yeah. And like the first chapter was just so poorly plotted and immaturely written, it felt like. Right. So I knew you were not going to like it. Yeah. Like, I didn't like it. There's no way for that. Like, no.
Okay. This is... I love this book. I love it so much.
I hope so.
I got this book from my boyfriend through Kelly, essentially, for my birthday because he didn't know what to get me. That was book related, which is fine because I have a lot of different interests. But my favorite book of the year is Hemlock Island by Kelly Armstrong. Wow, I'm so excited for you to read this book.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. I read it in basically 24 hours. It's relatively short. We follow a lady named Lainey. So this takes place after COVID, like COVID is talked about in the book, just for context. So she got a divorce during COVID, and in order to keep the custom house that her and her ex-husband had built on Lake Superior, she has to rent it out as an Airbnb. So she's doing this. She is the legal guardian of her niece since her sister passed away as well. So she's trying to stay in the city, keep her niece's life as normal as possible. But the beginning of the book, she wakes up to a frantic phone call from the couple or the family that's staying at the Airbnb saying, we went into the spare room to get a closet and there is blood all over the inside of the closet. And we find out that she has been seeing other things that are kind of occult in nature. Little totems, like different kinds of like circles that are being put around her property and in her home. And she has a theory that it's somebody who wants to buy it from her and they're trying to scare her out.
Okay.
And so her and her niece pack up their things to go there and they run into her ex-husband who her niece called. She says, he's like, I came to help you do this. Like, I don't want you going up there by yourself. We don't know what's going on. So they're basically all of these people from her past kind of form a group, and they go out there and they get stuck. It's the only house on the island.
Oh, no.
And there's no cell service.
Of course, yeah.
There's no satellite phones. A huge storm comes in. And they are...
Snowstorm?
No, like a rain storm.
Okay.
And there's only one boat. And not for long.
Oh, God.
And they are terrorized. But not in the most terrifying way. Like, I don't want to... Like, if you are not into super scary, you can still read this.
Okay.
It wasn't super graphic. Like, I didn't find it was super graphic.
Okay.
It was super fast-paced. I flew through the thing. Like I said, I read it in about 24 hours.
Okay.
So it was just such a good time. The end also had a real message. And I cried through like the last 2 chapters because I was just feeling so many things. And also it takes place in Canada, even if it is in Ontario.
Yeah, Canadian author.
Yep, Canadian author. It takes place on an island called Hemlock Island. Hemlock is not native to Canada, but it grows on this island in this book. Hemlock is poisonous. And it takes place on Lake Superior. So that's all pretty cool.
You gotta say our weird, creepy tidbit about this book, too.
Oh, yes. So Kelly posted on the Instagram story a while ago about this book, and she said there's a blotch in the book.
An ink blot.
And so I went and got mine, and I also have the same little ink spot. It looks exactly the same. It's on exactly the same page. So maybe we're being targeted.
Honestly, like, the one in my copy of The Family Upstairs, at least it's like, it looks like a photocopy of a blot or something.
Right.
This one is like, it was wet ink. Like,
Yeah.
wet. Fresh off the press. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was like, what? And so I said, I'm going to need to ask Nikki what happens at this part because I can't see it. And then she has it on the same page. So, oh well, we missed that sentence. But it wasn't important. Okay, my top one, I'm like kind of surprised, but when I looked through my books this year, I knew immediately. I was like,
oh, really?
Okay, yes.
Ooh.
So this is 2 books in one because it's a series and both of them are incredible. I'm like, I can't. It is Salt in the Wound and Salt Kiss by Sierra Simone.
Oh.
Nikki, oh my god, you need to read this. It is so good. Salt in the Wound is available on Kindle Unlimited for free, I believe. And Salt Kiss is not. But I have a physical copy of Salt Kiss. I want to buy a physical copy of Salt in the Wound. So Salt in the Wound is the prequel novella to Salt Kiss. You don't need to read it, but honestly, I read the prologue of Salt Kiss and I was like, oh my fucking god, I need to read the prequel. Like, it drew me in. If you've read Sierra Simone, you know she's a little darker in tone, but she's also very atmospheric. She can be a little like lyrical at times, very angsty. Another popular series by her is Priest. So she has a lot of like religious undertones in her books, and I kind of dig it, honestly. Like, I'm loving it. So Salt Kiss is a Tristan and Isolde retelling, reimagining. And when I picked up Salt Kiss, I don't know much about the original myth, okay? Right. I know a little bit of that movie's commercial with James Franco.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I know.
Was it him? Was he in it? Oh my god.
I think he was Tristan. I think. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Just the commercial. I know they have to get naked and bundle up to get warm, apparently. Nice. They gotta cuddle naked to get warm. So, which I guess makes sense. But anyways, so I thought this book was going to be Tristan and Isolde. Salt Kiss focuses on Tristan and his employer, Mark. So, he has been hired as a guard for this very dangerous, mysterious man who owns a sex club that doesn't deal in money but deals in secrets. So you don't pay to join, you give a secret. And he has all sorts of politicians, religious figures there. Everybody you can think of with power is at this sex club, okay? The prequel follows Isolde and Mark. And she has been, I guess, betrothed to him. Like, it's an arranged marriage. Her dad is a big banker guy. She wants to be a nun. And she's also trained to be a warrior. She's like badass nun bitch, okay?
Love that.
Yes. And her uncle is a cardinal or something for the Catholic Church. So it's like, you know, Vatican mystery kind of vibes. But he tells her, no, you can't be a nun. You have to serve God in another way. You are going to marry Mark and you're going to help us out. So she's kind of like playing double agent here, sort of, I think. And when I tell you the intrigue was so high, it was so high. The steam was incredible. Salt in the Wound, the prequel, doesn't have a lot of steam, but when it hits, oh my God, does it hit. Salt Kiss. Until the 60% mark, I feel like there was no steam. Then it hits, and I was like, holy fuck, this is so much steam. Where's the plot? But don't worry, because then Sarah Simone comes back and she's like, boom, here's the plot. And Salt Kiss, because it's Tristan and Mark, it is gay romance. So the first one, we've got Isolde with Mark. Second one, we've got Tristan with Mark. And the next book, I'm sure there will be something else to happen. I can't say because I don't want to give it away, but oh my God. Like, the intrigue, the mystery, the steam, the character building, the plot. Oh my God. Like, 10s across the board. So good.
That. Oh my God. I am so excited to read a freaking Sierra Simone book.
Yes.
I just cannot freaking wait. Kelly gave me for... was it for leaving my job?
Yeah.
She gave me the Priest trilogy. And I have just been waiting for downtime so that I can just sit and read all of these books kind of in one go, because I know I just need to be uninterrupted, which is really hard to get in my house. But I just need some uninterrupted me time to spend with these characters.
Yes.
And so I'm really excited to have another series to pick up of hers after.
Oh my God, Nikki. Like, I wanted to put Salt in the Wound on my Christmas wish list, but I couldn't because it's way too steamy for my family to look at. So, and like purchase for me. So I'll buy it myself. But I think you would love Sierra Simone. She's just so good. I've only read Priest. I haven't read the other two, but like... oh my God. The vibes, the steam. Whew. I felt kind of like scandalous putting a sticker on it at work, but I also was like, I don't care. The covers are like beautiful florals.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know. It is amazing.
Yeah. I really like when they don't have men on the cover, like naked men.
Yeah.
Ew.
Because also, no offense to these models, like they're models, clearly they're attractive, but like, I usually don't really care about them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not what I want to imagine when I'm reading the book.
I know.
Like,
I feel like they don't cast well.
No. They're just like, this picture looks good.
Yeah.
Put a little
buy
font
it off
on
stock
it.
images.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, you do what you gotta do.
Yep.
Says the girl with no book. You know, like, I don't know. Just do what works, hey. Do you have anything you're like crazy excited for in the new year?
Oh, here, wait, actually, let me look at our thing, because I'm sure there are. I can't think of it off the top of my head. That's the only thing I didn't.
I have one off the top of my head that I'm really excited for. The only one I can think of right now that's coming out in 2024 is the new Allie Hazelwood book, because it's her first like fantasy romance, supernatural or paranormal.
Yeah.
Yeah, called Bride. And
oh yeah, I have that on our thing.
I'm so excited. I think she's gonna do paranormal really well. And I have read everything she's written. I have loved most of it. And I think she's gonna knock it out of the park. So I'm really excited. I think yeah, I think that's one of my most anticipated for next year.
I think mine is probably The Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. And it's coming out in July.
That?
I have absolutely no idea what it's about. I made sure not to look at anything because I don't want to be spoiled.
Oh my God.
But I love Grady Hendrix. I didn't really like How to Sell a Haunted House that much.
Okay.
So I'm really excited for one to come out next year to hopefully revive him in my mind.
That sounds good, though. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I think it is going to be good. So that concludes this episode, our last episode of season 3. If you want to keep up with what we have going on in our downtime, you can follow us on Instagram at BYO Book Podcast or on TikTok at Bring Your Own Book Podcast. Until we see you again.
Yeah, please stay tuned because I'm sure we're going to have a lot of exciting things coming up that you won't want to miss out on.
And until then, keep on drinking in great stories. Cheers!